everybody, welcome back to Rating Our Collection. This is a series where we're going to be going numbers through Z of all the games we have here in our collection. This is a nice way for us to kind of get our thoughts out and almost kind of review everything we have. Because I know some of the comments will be like, hey, what did you think of On the Underground? Well, we're not going to do a full review on it, but I'll tell you when we rate the collection. So we're doing A today. The problem with A is it has 16 games. Last time there were only 7. So we're going to try to do this as quick as we can so the video's not 45 minutes long.
No. And if you've never met us before, welcome to the Literary Gamers. I am Jen, the board game librarian, and I'm joined by my husband, Matt, the dice chucker. There might be a cat or two who joins us. It is, as I said to my husband before we started filming, the witching hour, and it's wet food time of sorts. So if you like those cats, this is your time, folks.
Good thing you mentioned cats, because wet food just sounds like without the cat connotation in there.
Yep. All right. That's where we're at today, apparently, folks. So hope you're ready. We are ready.
So I want to make just a brief statement before we begin. All of these games are in our collection, which means we like them. So just because a game is lower on the list doesn't mean, oh, how could they not like that one? We do like it. It's in the collection. We haven't found a reason to kick it out yet.
Yes.
And on top of that, also, when we kind of work our collection, sometimes we look for games that may not be amazing, but we know we can teach them to non-gamers. We know we can teach them to certain people, and certain people in our lives would like these games. So you might sit there and go, oh, why would they even have that in their collection? This is why. Because we know people who would like it. And I think I see a cattail coming in. So you look at something.
A gray plume.
All right.
Yes, and we rate from a 1 to 10, and any variation of a decimal that you want in between. So you're going to hear a lot of wacky numbers.
Mm-hmm. What we do is we add both of our scores of the game together and then average them out, and then I'll tell you exactly what the decimal number is, as crazy as it can be.
And my rating is almost always lower than Matt's. There may be 2 exceptions on here, so I think I threw off a couple that were higher. We will talk about that in particular. Okay. So
we're going to start with number 16. So, number 16 is Antiquity Quest. This is one of the more recent releases from Grandpa Peck's Games. In it, you are searching for artifacts from different cultures, and you're creating sets, almost in a gin rummy style. This one between this one in between us got a 7.165.
That seems low, but it's not. It's not. Okay, so yes, it is number 16, and I'll tell you why this stays in our collection. First of all, we do generally love Grandpa Beck's games. The family, if you're not familiar with any of theirs, Skull King, their trick-taking game, it's like Wizard, from what I understand. They take a lot of very classic card games and put a new spin on them. They're also very inexpensive, these games, and you can find them on Amazon most of the time, which in terms of reaching a wider audience, I think definitely helps. So, like Antiquity Quest, Matt's dad likes playing Gin Rummy, right?
Yeah, he always wants to play it.
He does.
So much that my mother asked me, she goes, I need games because I'm sick of Gin Rummy. Yep. So I was like, okay, I'm not recommending that one.
Yeah, I mean, it might be different enough, but the thing with Grandpa Beck's games is the artwork.
Yep.
Definitely great artwork.
It's all family-oriented. Members of his family are the models for the artwork.
Sometimes recipes.
Yeah, there's a recipe in each game.
I spoiled it again,
You did.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Spoiler alerts. So I think we should move on to our next pick.
Number 15. Now, number 15 is Aristocracy, which designed by Rainer Knizia, and it got a 7.375 from us.
We warned you about the wacky numbers.
Yeah, the reason I kept, like last time there wasn't so many wacky numbers, I need to have the notepad here for this one.
So, go ahead.
Aristocracy, it's one of those really, it's a neat game, and I like it each time we pull it out. but I do feel like we need to give it, 1 or 2 months between each play. Because if we were to play this one over and over again, eventually it would get to that point of, okay, we're done. Next. It's a good game. I like the whole structure of the turn. It's very easy to play. But at the same time, it would become a bit too repetitive if we played it over and over again.
So Aristocracy is an abstract game where tiles are... a huge mass of tiles are put face down onto a very large board, and you on your turn are flipping 3 tiles, correct?
Yes.
And you are doing something with them. You are going to collect all of one of something, but there's districts on the board where you're trying to collect points. It's a Kinesia point salady suck collection abstract game.
And the price point is good on it, so if you happen to see it, go ahead and pick it up, because you'll really get a good game out of it. Tasty Minstrel Games always has great production values too. The tiles are nice and thick. You never worry about snapping or bending them. So, and the plastic bits that are in there are also high quality. Small, but high quality.
Our number 14 is Agamemnon by Osprey Games, a 2-player abstract game. So we're going from abstract game to abstract game.
And this one has a nice just 7.5 from the two of us.
Is that the only normal one?
No, we got others.
So I have a love-hate relationship with Agamemnon. I featured it on Board Game Breakfast before, but it's the theme on it, very thinly pasted, is that the fates and the 3 weaving, there's weaving going on and strands during the Trojan War, and you are trying to connect certain generals and things to have the best strand of XYZ.
It's one of the hardest games to explain.
It is.
It is. I mean, I've taught it to many people, and I've been successful, but it's been 2 or 3 games in before they were like, oh, I see what we're trying to do.
Only one. Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever had that moment playing this game. It's usually an embarrassment on my end of losing. Matt is very good at abstract games, whereas I am not.
and Agamemnon, it's a very unique experience. I wouldn't say don't play it. Definitely give it a try if it's somewhere you see it, and you'll know right away if it's the type of game you like.
Rulebook on this is not fantastic, necessarily.
This was Osprey's early days of board gaming, and they've come a long way in some of their rulebooks.
They have. They have.
Number 13. Number 13 is Archer, Once You Go Blackmail. And for those who are wondering what the heck this is Archer Love Letter. And this got a 7.54 from us.
I don't know
Where
what
are you getting these numbers from?
No, you spit them out in the car, and I was like, what are you talking about? So, I think if you're an Archer fan, if you're not familiar with what Archer is or who Archer is, it's an adult animated cartoon on FX, I believe. Supposedly in its final season 10.
That's what they keep saying. Season 11.
Season 11, and they are spies. So they kind of do put that theme into where there's some spying that's going on. Oh, Ginger Jerk is crying
So if you remember when you set up Love Letter, there's the card that you always deal out, so there's no card counting. In Archer, that's actually a secret identity card that you might be able to pick up in your hand, and you put one down, face down, so now the card counting is all wacky and all that. So it kind of gave that nice spy element to it. Okay. Sure, it's still Love Letter to its core, but it does have that nice little addition. Unlike some of the other theme love letters where it just seemed like, here's characters you like in a love letter format.
Unlike the Batman one, though.
The Batman one is good.
Robin. This variety of love letter might be our favorite?
Yes, and it's mainly because of the hidden identity. You're using that card that got dealt out. So.
Chewing that. This is what happens when you're recording and the cats are hungry. They chew on stuff.
What time is it? They still have an hour.
Too early. It's too early for food, people.
Speaking of too early, it's time for our number 12.
Wow, Wow. Segue, folks. Segue is Arboretum, or no, we're not going to do it.
Okay.
By Renegade Game Studios.
And this is a 7.58.
So, yes, the version that we have is the Renegade version with, I believe, Beth Sobel's artwork on it. Such a slightly vicious game about peaceful trees. Yes? Yes.
Yeah, I would say that. You're trying to place them in a grid format where you're trying to, create paths of trees and get the most points off of them. An abstracted game, but... Oh, excuse me. I will say, the box is way too big. You open up the box and there's this tiny cutout of the deck of cards. I mean, so if you wanted to take it with you to travel, just get yourself an elastic band and you'll know how to score.
Traveling tips from Matt, the dice chucker. I really enjoy Arboretum. It's one, I think, that we've played at 2 players and 4 players. Good at both.
2 players I felt was more intense, because when we played at 4 players, not everyone was really paying attention to everyone else's trees. They were only looking to the person following them.
Yes.
But 2 players is definitely a bit more of an intense experience, I felt.
Yes. Yes, and again, charming artwork of the trees.
Number 11. Is Azul Stained Glass of Sintra. Now, Azul was one of my favorite games of 2017/2018, I would say, because I think it came out technically in December of 2017.
Seems like forever ago, doesn't it?
It does seem like forever ago. And then I heard about Azul Stained Glass and this idea that the tiles cascade down, and that you had a worker that you didn't have to get stuck with the really shite tiles out in there. You could say, I'm just going to reset my worker, and you bring them all the way to the front. And, unless, of course, the person following you does the same thing, and then you're faced with the same bad tiles, which you've done to me plenty of times.
Yeah, this one I feel like we're fairly evenly matched on. You still win the Azuls by and large more than I do, especially regular Azul.
I was obsessed with Azul when it came out.
We've played it a lot, which we still really enjoy and still pull out, and both of them will appear later as spoilers. We've talked a lot about which Azul should you purchase. I don't know. Whichever one you think the tiles are prettier on, frankly. Whichever appeals more to you. Really. Does it really matter? I suppose in theory they're all the same and there's minor differences between them. We play all 3 of them. They're still all in our collection. Although if another one comes out, I may say, no thank you. I'm good.
Or it might be time to weed one out.
Yes.
And bring that one in.
Yes.
All right. Well, it's time for our number 10, and then I'm going to preface these next 2 games with the only reason they're this low is because somebody keeps getting beaten when we play them.
Well, the number 10 in particular. So number 10 is Alien Frontiers, Clever Mojo Games, or Game Salute, however.
And it has a 7.875. Oh, I'm sorry. Azul Stained Glass at a 7.75. So Alien Frontiers is 7.875.
Can't remember what I gave it, but I might have given it lower than that. So Alien Frontiers has everything in it that I love in games. It has dice rolling, it has dice placement. It's, pretty compact and timed game. I think gameplay is very tight too. But I love it and I hate it. I love it when I'm playing because I think I'm winning. And then a gray tail comes along and I'm not winning somehow because someone comes along in area control and swipes things out from me. So, I hate the game. That's what I have to say about Alien Frontiers.
I think it's a great game. Yeah, it's really easy to see what your opponents are doing. So let's go to number 9.
I love an Alien Frontiers, before we move along, that the moon, the parts on there are after science fiction authors.
Right, it's all the science fiction people.
Yes. All right, so we have our little gray boy with us, joining us for number 9.
Which is Arcane Academy, which is also 7.875. I want you to...
I like it more than Alien Frontiers because I win Arcane Academy.
Every once in a while.
That is very accurate, folks.
So the funniest thing about Arcane Academy is Jen had a chance to play this with Mike DeVito from Third World Studios at Gen Con in 2017. And she looked over at me because I have been talking with somebody else for a few moments. And she pointed to the game board and said, "You're going to love this." And we got it home.
It was a mistake.
And she showed it to me. And I think within 5 rounds, I had clicked in the end game.
It was a mistake.
And you're like, I should never have shown you this game.
No, those are like my words verbatim, too. I should have never shown you this game.
This is an unknown masterpiece from both Kevin Wilson and Eric Lang.
Yes.
This is one of their unsung games, and it needs to get more attention. I just think it's fantastic. You're putting tiles into this grid, and when you activate a tile, if they're all connected, you activate all the tiles, and you really are trying to complete, is it eight assignments?
I think so, yes.
And depending on how well you build your grid from the tiles that are available to you is how quickly you can start, banging out assignments, and you really get some cool combos going. So it is a phenomenal game from Third World Studios. It should be a little higher, but someone rated it really low, so the average kicked it in a lower position.
Not everything can be a 9 or a 10, because then what makes the 10 special?
So Arcane Academy is a solid C+.
When you put it in those terms, Matt, this makes me sound like a very, very sad person.
So let's go to number 8 so we can end the sadness. All right. All right.
Number 8 at also 7.875
7.875
is Atlantis Rising by Elf Creek Games.
Mainly the second edition, because we never got a chance to play the first one.
A cooperative game where you are working together to save Atlantis from sinking to the earth. We've played this game a couple of times and actually won?
Once.
Legitimately won.
Yeah. We won once. The first time we won, and we thought it was too easy, and it was because we had misinterpreted a certain rule, and when I read deeper into it, I'm like, oh, okay, good to know. We were putting way too many workers on the build a piece of technology.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because we saw those as kind of just like the spots where you put the workers. We looked at it and said, oh, that looks just like a cosmetic thing they put in the game. It makes it look nice, and not realizing that that's where you had to put the people.
A very, very, very solid cooperative game.
The pressure is on you immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you feel that intensity almost right away.
Yeah, excellent artwork in the second edition by Vincent Dutrait, and you can play huge variety of characters and wonderful diversity in the characters as well. And if you play as the astronomer, which I can't even remember legitimately if that's a playable character, you can play either as the male or female side. Wow, why is that so earth-shattering?
When you say wonderful artwork by Vincent Dutrait, it'll be the day when he comes out with a board game art that's bad.
Probably.
Yeah.
I love his style a lot.
It'll never happen.
No.
Speaking of interesting artwork, number 7 is Alhambra, which is rated at a 7.955. It's one extra credit question away from a B-.
So Alhambra, our version is, I guess, the only version, which is by Queen Games.
It's the big box
we have. The big box version. We like it that much. And just a modern classic at this point, really.
We got into Alhambra way too late, so really the only way for us to get the expansions without, spending, lots of money was to get the big box.
Yeah, a really great tile placement game, creating paths and having set collection going on.
And walls.
And walls, which I think I finally broke you the last time.
Yeah. The money mechanic is fantastic, where if you pay exact change for the tile you want, you get to go again. You know?
Yeah, I do like that too. I wish more, well, there might be more games out there that do that, and we just don't know about it. And artwork, artwork
it's the same.
It's just...
Each tile is, each type of tile is the same.
Yes. But I think it's easy enough to understand this game that a non-gamer, it is a great gateway game.
It is.
I think.
And it's, like you said, it's a modern classic. It's still on the shelf today. It still sells. Mm-hmm. It's one of those evergreens. It's that, along with Settlers of Catan, and now it's El Carcassonne, Ticket to Ride, all those. Yeah.
Yep.
Number 6. Is this one makes me a little bit sad. What? Because when it came out at Gen Con, the cover art for Abyss, they had 4 different covers.
Oh, it's Abyss.
And it's Abyss, by the way. And it's an 8. A nice even number. So by the time we got a chance to buy it, it was that samey blue cover, and I think you really wanted the purple one. But it's okay. The art is phenomenal.
Is it also a Vincent Dutrait?
I don't know.
I think it might be a Vincent Dutrait. I should get my
phone. I don't know. My phone's upstairs.
My phone's over here. Why don't you talk about it, and I'm going to look.
Sure. Abyss is solid. You have multiple options open to you. On your turn, you can, you can get people from the council. You can get the special cards on the bottom. All their proper names are eluding me right now. But just the kinds of things you can do in Abyss, the push your luck element as you're trying to find more powerful cards that you can take. Just one of the things that really draws me to this one. We haven't yet played with the Leviathan expansion, mainly because I haven't been able to get it yet.
So it's not Vincent Dutrait. I'm saying things that I shouldn't be saying over here. Yeah, so, you're looking to... There's set collection that's going on in terms of... and the push your luck element with the diving and the collecting the pearls, potentially. The gathering the lords at the bottom, which
That's the lords, yeah.
Help you win the game. And a couple
Each
of
little
other
thing all kind of clicks together and really gives you that fantastic experience you're looking for.
It's one of those games that I think, even right now, I had a really hard time explaining what it is and the things that are going on in it. It's maybe Bruno's weirdest game. Theme-wise. Even mechanics-wise, it's...
But that's what makes it stand out so much.
Yes, I'd agree. Yes, a Bruno, and we generally do love the Bruno in the house, in this house.
So number 5 is Azul Summer Pavilion. This one ranks at an 8.125. Once again, another Azul style game. What sets this one apart for me is the ability to hold up to 4 tiles.
Yes.
At the end of each round, so you don't get super penalized like you do in other Azul games.
Yes.
The wild tile per round, I like that.
That really is the genius part of this one.
Yeah. And the way the scoring works is just fantastic. And then you have public tiles that if you complete a surrounding of a certain thing on your board, you get to take the public tiles, and those immediately get filled in.
And mechanics-wise, it's probably the best designed of the 3. Style-wise, it might be my favorite as well. Just because the tiles are really cheerful and colorful, and it looks great on the board too. I think when you're done playing them, everyone see the tufts of fur that are just floating up in the air.
But even though we do like Summer Pavilion a lot, it still pales in comparison to number 4, Classic Azul, at an 8.25. What can be said about Azul that already hasn't been said?
When you would add things to modern classics, I think Azul will definitely have its place there. And I think because
They sell it at Target.
they sell it at Target now, so in terms of mass appeal, I think it's definitely it definitely has it there. But again, I taught this at the library to someone who really doesn't play a lot of modern board games, and he picked it up right away, the pattern and how to do it, and he talked about the top 4 corners and the right-hand side, how that's a key thing to get, and if you can get those top 4 tiles, the algorithm of the game. He got real fancy and started talking algorithms and blah, 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 blah,
And that just kind of talks about, how wonderful the game is, that people can keep talking and talking about it, and they can find these ways that really hones them into enjoying a game like that.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. We love regular Azul so much that we've picked up the Joker tiles.
Yep.
We've picked up the...
Oh, the fancy red and blue tiles, so they don't look like a little starburst. They actually have a little design on them.
Fancy tiles and other wild tiles, too, that we've picked up for this. It's definitely our most blinged out Azul.
It is. But we do not have the expansion.
No, Crystal Pavilion, Crystal Palace, Crystal...
Something.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Our number 3 is in our top 3. It's one that we feel like we have been champions of for such a long time, and that is Ashes by Plaid Hat Game. One of the best 2-player games in our collection that we go through periods where we play the heck out of it, and then we don't play it for a very long time.
Played the snot out of this when it first came out.
And then we pick up a new character or two, we play it.
And then my heart broke. Ashes was dead. The tournament, I think it was it Gen Con or was it Essen, where they officially said whoever wins this tournament is the winner of Ashes. Because the story behind it is, it's kind of like Highlander. There can only be one. They have all these Phoenix born, and they all have their special powers and things, and in the end only one will be left standing, and whoever won that final tournament was the winner of Ashes, that character. And then there was that bright hope when Plaid Hat said, we're revamping it, and it's coming out. It's almost like a 1.5. I wouldn't call it a 2.0. For people like us who have, it's right here by the way, all the characters, all the promos, you just buy a pack that fixes some of the problems that the game had towards the end, and then you kind of go ahead. This is also one of the most beautiful games we own.
Yeah.
The artwork is phenomenal. Very lifelike.
That to me, I think this gets more, if you were going to ask me about best board game artwork, even against Vincent Dutrait stuff, I think her name's Fernanda Suarez. Fantastic stuff. Well, I had a thought about Ashes, and then it poofed. It poofed. The dice. How did you not talk about the dice and the custom dice and the symbols on there? You can build your own deck in Ashes. I hate building my own decks, and I think for me personally, with doing that, I think you can really kind of break the game of sorts by, and I hate saying that, you can create characters that are so jacked up that are going to make them impossible to beat. If you pick the most powerful creature and spell.
That's kind of part of the experience, too. I do feel that the packs you get when you get the new character are fine.
Yeah.
So, I'm so happy, Plaid Hat, that you're bringing this one back.
I agree.
I think that when it comes out, and I hope that it comes out at a time when there can be more open gaming. In this time of COVID, in a game store, the games that are faltering are the games where you need to go and play with people at a game store. Things like Magic the Gathering, is seen a bit of a down trick because you can't go play Magic the Gathering unless you're playing it online, and there is something missing by not going to the game store playing. So this one, I think, if we can get the right champions out there for this could really explode.
Yeah. Our number 2...
This is going to be controversial.
Okay. Oh, why? Because of what our number 1 is?
No.
Oh.
No, number 2.
Oh, it's Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. I don't care. We like Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. I thought Arkham Horror 2nd Edition was a snooze fest.
Let me preface this by saying we're big fans of Elder Sign, and we happened to play Elder Sign first. So when we went to go play Arkham 2nd Edition, it just seemed like a longer, drawn-out Elder Sign.
We were there like 6 hours. I'm like, this is boring.
So what do you need to do when you need to add pep and life to your game? You call Nikki Valens, and you say, help us out here. And it takes everything that's great from Elder Sign, Eldritch Horror, Mansions of Madness, and Arkham Horror LCG, throws it in a blender, and you get what you get. Combat is streamlined. There's no running to the rulebook every single time you see a monster. What is it we do this time now? Not to diminish the other editions in Arkham. Without Arkham 1st and 2nd, we wouldn't have the large Cthulhu-based games that we have today.
True.
But Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, the games are faster. And the stories that were put with that are really nice and engaging.
I agree. This is the game that I cheat a lot in. I don't cheat, normally, in games, but in cooperative games...
She shakes the dice tray to see if it goes to a 5 or a 6 for a success every once in a while. I just bumped it.
Oh, or you weren't looking, so I'm going to roll that dice again. Or last time he was playing the reporter who has to roll 6s, and I said to him, oh, well, you didn't roll any 6s this time because I wasn't doing, like, a cheerleader 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and then he rolled 6s. I said, well, gotta do that every time now. There, to me, a game like this is not necessarily about being 100% to the rules. Of course, I say that, right?
And this is more about the story. It's really, everyone's like, oh, all you're really doing is rolling dice and you get a 5 or a 6. The game really is about the story.
And you do have choices.
And you do have choices that you can make. But I mean, it's solid and a lot of memorable experiences from it. So. Number 1. I know you're so excited to talk about this one, so go for it.
I've talked about it ad nauseum, so if you follow me on any of the channels that I do things, it was my game of 2019, and that is Abomination by Plaid Hat Games at an 8.75. So this game gets a variety of disparaging comments, and I think, unfortunately, this game has gotten not its due time in the spotlight. So the game is gory, and if you don't like gore, that's fine. That's not your thing. So Abomination is not for you. Cool. We've settled that. Mm-hmm. Move on. So for those who really do love kind of horror and gore, if you...
And Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yep. If you were someone that loved, like, Penny Dreadful, or you're into, like...
Victorian horror, I would say.
Victorian, Gothic horror. Abomination is for you, because this is post-Frankenstein.
It's 10 years after the Frankenstein book. The creature has come into Paris, and he wants a companion. And so he hires a number of scientists to build it for him, and it's really a worker placement game. There are stories that go along with it, but the main central mechanic is worker placement.
I think it has a ton of theme in this. The designer also paid really strong attention to his source material.
This is the most thematic Euro game we own.
It is. I would agree. And because of all the belly aching people did about how long that game was. Oh my god, it was so long.
It's called the Igor variant. Really easy to find on just Google the Igor variant Abomination. It shortens the game by 3 rounds. It only allows... So there's this thing in the game in Paris where there's a public execution on certain events, and if you happen to go to the public execution site when that happens, those are fresh body parts for you to build your creature out of. So those are actually not controlled by the game. and not done by event. Because there was a high percentage chance that out of the 12 rounds in the game, maybe 3 or 4 you'd get a public execution.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm being somewhat not nice about those with Abomination and how long it is, like it's a euro. I don't get it. At 2 players, we're able to crank it out in an hour and a half.
And that's without the variant.
Without the variant.
And this is not one, we know when we're going to play Abomination, so we put aside the time.
Right, yes.
It's just like if we play Fury of Dracula.
Yes.
We put aside the time.
Or we would with, like...
War of the Ring.
Dominations. Which is also very Euro-y. It's even at 2 players long. I'm trying to look around. Terraforming Mars at 2 players can be...
Long.
So
that confused me when the game got such an amount of flack for its length. What confused me even more was the main complaint that, oh my, this is gory. What did you expect? Out of a game based on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, everyone's like, I can't believe the amount of blood in this. You knew you were playing a gothic horror style game. The game is called Abomination, so you should be able to expect some gore. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You can say, you know what, this game's not for me. I'm gonna step out.
I think some people also didn't like the area where you can go and murder someone.
In the back alley, yeah.
The back alley. Again, I've played 3 games without ever going there. And you have as well, too, I think. You don't ever have to use that spot. But that to me, that particular excuse is kind of like war games? War games.
Letters from Whitechapel.
So, that's fine.
People love that game, and I never hear anything about the goriness of Letters from Whitechapel.
Yeah, so...
And there's blood on the board.
I don't know.
Abomination's one of those games where I think it deserves more recognition. It's the most thematic Euro we own, as I said before, and every time we play it, even if I've lost, I come away from it with a great story and experience of my own creature that I was building. And
I feel like you and I are very protective of it, of sorts, and we try to champion this game a lot. I know I definitely have. We've tried it to a couple of people, and they very much enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
So, that is our Rate the Collection A games. What games do you have that you love that are with an A? Which do we love that you really are like, Jenn and Matt, you are wrong, thumbs down.
Unsubscribe.
You don't do that, I'm sure. You are not one of those people. Right? Right. Yes. Okay.
All right.
I tried to be like a little librarian. We'll see you next time for our B games.
And there's more of those.
Oh boy. All right. We'll see you later, folks. I'm Jen, the board game librarian.
I'm Matt, the dice chucker.
And we are at the Literary Gamers.
See you next time, everybody.
Toodaloo.